I was just cleaning the kitchen, so there's some like water splashes in my sweater, and I wanted to keep talking about what I was talking about in the last video about about social anxiety and feeling so awkward with in relationships with other human beings. They don't have to be romantic relationships, all relationships. And I got diagnosed with ADHD, and I've also been assessed for autism, and the specialist that saw me, she believes I have it. She did all the tests and she believes I am autistic. But apparently for it to be like official, it needs to, because I also have social anxiety, and some of the ADHD traits kind of there's an overlap between ADHD traits and autistic traits. So it's not, we would need like more tests and things like that, and I'm not opposed to that. I'm just tired of paying for these things, so I just like, okay, for now it's fine, because it gets to a point when it's very difficult to know what are, say, like natural traits that you have, and what are traits that are born out of like maybe traumatic experiences and things like that, combined with some natural traits, like am I a sensitive person with social anxiety due to trauma? Am I autistic, and that's why I struggle with certain things which made the social anxiety happen? Like, it's very hard to really know. So you need to do lots of like tests, and it's kind of subjective, the whole thing, to be honest, until they find a way of testing these things with, I don't know, something like brain scans or something. But the thing is, what it seems pretty clear is that I have certain natural traits like sensitivity and other, like, when you have ADHD, it's like your brain develops, it's like neurodevelopmental differences. And one of the things that happens is that your prefrontal cortex develops a little later than average. And that's why you do things that are not considered age appropriate, and then you get told off for doing certain things that you're supposed to not do because you're developing a little later. So the thing is, it's quite apparent, because I'm also very creative and very artistic, and like lots of traits that were there already when I was very, very little point to me having some neurodevelopmental differences. But there's also the other part, which is a combination of certain like difficult experiences I had, but also a lack of guidance, a lot of like neglect, to be honest. And this is where things get complicated, because these things kind of like overlap and affect one another. I mean, you could have ADHD and be born in certain circumstances, and then that develops in a way, and if you're born ADHD in these other circumstances, it develops in this other way. These traumatic things, for instance, make the ADHD struggles worse. It makes everyone's struggles worse. You don't need to have ADHD. Like, obviously, the effects of trauma affect your brain, and if you have an ADHD brain, it's going to affect your ADHD brain. Like, this is like, when you think about it, it's obvious, but when you're not immersed in this world, it's like everything seems a little confusing. And I think very often people confuse the symptoms of what is like regulated person with ADHD or an unregulated person with ADHD, or a regulated person with autism and an unregulated person with autism, and they think it's the same, and it's not the same. I mean, they both are autistic or they both have ADHD, but obviously the way it presents, it's different. Well, first of all, we are different people. Just because you have this neurodevelopmental differences doesn't mean that you're going to be the same, that two autistic people are the same. They're not. But also there's other factors at play. One of them is that, or how like high or low your IQ is, and many other things that affect, really, we're complex creatures that are a result of complex situations. But the thing is, I believe in my case, what seems very clear is that I had those differences, that a lot of the difficulties I had and the responses I got, negative responses I got, were because of those differences. But I also didn't have the support I needed. I had less support than an average kid in my environment. Oh, man, I don't know, I cannot compare myself to all the kids in like super terrible situations, but say a kid that is born into war or something, like, I'm not comparing myself to that, I'm comparing to my peers. I had less than average support from my parents. And this is, again, why things get complicated, because the reason why that happened, I believe mainly, or one of the big reasons, is because my parents come from poverty. And therefore, they didn't have the resources. They were neglected themselves. I pretty confident that they're neurodivergent as well. At least my mom is. I think my dad is as well. But they also have trauma. And they were raised like my mom always says, like we were little animals. You feed the animals, but there was no emotional support. There was nothing. And she believed that's how you raise the kid. You just feed the kid, you put clothes on the kid, you do all these things, but like the kid does not have any emotional needs. And so my mom never played with us. I'm going to talk about myself, but it's not that I was singled out inside the family. She never played with me. She didn't ask, like, you came back from school. She wasn't like, oh, how was your day at school? There was none of that. And therefore, nobody was there to guide you or to guide me and to teach me certain things that maybe I needed extra support in learning. So not only didn't have any extra support, I had not even the average support. So that made things very difficult for me. And in my family as well, it was very common to teach through not punishment. There was not a lot of punishment, but criticism mainly. It was, we know now, like you train a dog, you give them positive reinforcement, and you make them confident and all of these things. If you just punish them and yell at them and all of that, you're gonna get a dog that maybe it's submissive and obedient, but they're gonna have confident issues. And we are the same basically. And it's not that clear cut, because also we have our personalities and all these complex situations and all of that. But it's very common that if you teach a person, instead of like guiding them and supporting them and teaching them, you just criticize them when they do things wrong, then that person is going to have low confidence. And I read that this is very common for people who are neurodivergent. And they don't know that they are neurodivergent because they receive the criticism, but they don't receive the explanation. Because it's like, you should know it, it's obvious. So if you're not doing it right, it's because you're doing it wrongly on purpose. So you're a bad person, or you're an asshole, you're selfish, you're irresponsible, you're whatever. So you just left with that, like, oh, okay, I am like that, but I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know how to solve it. I don't know how to do things differently. So what happens is that you end up feeling very scared. And you have very low confidence, and you're very scared of like messing up, and you're scared of people because people are unpredictable. You never know when you're gonna say something. They're gonna go like, oh my God, like, and so it's scary. And the thing is, I am now an adult. I have done a lot of therapy. I've worked a lot on these things, but I still struggle. This is the reality. And I still struggle emotionally. I still struggle practically. Like, I still feel very confused in many situations. I still don't know exactly what is normal and not normal, what is expected of me, like, and it's still a pain point in my life. And what makes it a little difficult, it is difficult, but what makes it a little extra difficult about practicing these things or learning these things when you're an adult is that obviously not everyone is a good person out there, or not everyone is like caring, or not everyone is gentle, or not everyone is sensitive. So even if you're doing your best and trying super hard, you're still gonna find people that will be mean to you, or will be manipulative, or be these things. So you're learning how to feel safe with people in an environment that is not necessarily safe, when there's still a lot of unsafe people. So it makes it really difficult to learn. And with this, I don't want to be, if anybody's watching this and you feel like, oh my god, I feel this way, and I don't want you to feel disheartened at all. It's about being aware of these things. And because at least for me, I had this big weight of shame and guilt on me, like, what is wrong with me? And I was like bashing my head against the wall and trying to break through the wall, and I wasn't capable. And suddenly it's like realizing, oh, okay, this is actually what is happening. It's a little bit more complex. It's not necessarily my fault. It's not that I'm an angel that never does anything wrong, not at all. But this whole situation is not my fault. It's not that I'm creating it because I want to be difficult for no reason whatsoever. It's a combination of factors that led me to be here, and I'm trying to do my best, but it's still tricky. So knowing it is like, okay, at least I feel a little bit more free, and a little less. I have a less self-hatred. For the longest time, I just thought I was the worst thing ever, and now it's like, okay, I can understand myself better. Therefore, I can love myself more, or accept myself, or forgive myself. But that's a better word. So I just wanted to say that, and I'm gonna keep cooking.